Dairyman, a game that covers a much neglected topic in the arts and humanities, and that topic is cheese. Now really, I don't understand why overlooking cheese when it's such a worthy topic. I've read many sonnets that were not nearly as good as so many types of cheese that I ate. So, you know, try not to be so snob poets and take the topic of cheese into account as a possibility. But I digress. In Dairyman, which is a simple push or luck game, the players produce milk and they turn that into cheese and gelato, or ice cream as some people call it, by TMG. Now we have the rule book here, which is, as you can see, very short. It's really just a single rule sheet, super short. Then we have some dice. Well, this is basically a dice game. Tokens, some representing freeze and some are penalty tokens. And then we have these tiles here. 3 of these tiles represent barns, where you go to collect your milk. And then you have these other tiles here, which are shuffled together at the beginning of the game. Only part of the entire pool is used, so you have a little bit of variety. And then a number of them, depending on the number of players, is placed in a stack on the table. And then there will be a set of cheese, well, of milk tokens available. Now, how does it work? Well, at the beginning of your turn, you grab the white dice and the yellow die, and you roll them, as you may expect from a dice game. And then what you're trying to do is to create sets of dice that total the number 10. So for example, here I have these 2 dice and this other guy here, 4 and 4 and 2, that's 10. After you form a set, you place it on the first barn. Now it may very well be that you have multiple sets of 10s. For example, maybe I had also rolled these in the roll that you saw, so I could store more than one by the same barn. Once I have stored all the 10s that I can and want, I can decide to stop, or I can go on. Now, if I can go on, I roll all of the dice that I still have, and I'm trying to get a 10 again. If I manage to do so, ooh, how lucky, what are the odds? If I manage to do so, then I can place them on the second barn, and again I can stop or continue. Basically, you can continue for as long as you're able to roll at least a 10 every time to commit to do so. Sooner or later, you'll get to the last barn. If you're rolling the last barn, you are going to get a freeze token, as indicated by that reminder there, which is one of these tokens here. Then you simply grab it and you add it to your personal pool. There's also a yellow die that can be used to trigger special effects. In particular, you can see some tokens have a yellow number there. If you did roll that number and you decide to spend the die to activate that effect instead of adding it to a 10, then you flip the token to the other side. And for example, here you turn milk into cheese, which makes it more valuable. That number there is the number of victory points that you can acquire by having that product in your collection. And so now this is worth more. This is also the cost in terms of points that you need to spend to produce that milk. So for example here, suppose the die is stopped here, then I get 30. Well, with 30 I can get either any of these 3 milk thingies here, milk tokens here, but with 30 I cannot get 2 of them. And I decide, say, to get this guy, and then I simply add it to my area. And when you take stuff from the center, then you simply add it to your thingy, to your personal area. Now, as I said, you continue like this, and this is great. The other thing that you can do with the freeze token is to spend a freeze token to flip one of these milk products in your area, and they give you benefits. For example, now once per turn I can reroll all 2s that I have. So ice cream or gelato gives you rerolls, as opposed to cheese gives you more points. Freeze tokens also allow you to lock dice from one reroll to the other. So, for example, I saved a set and then I spend the freeze token to save one of my dice and I reroll everything else. And again, I'm trying to get as many 10s as possible. But suppose that, alas, I wasn't able to form a new set of 10 points when I was trying to go from one barn to the other that is in a reroll. In which case my turn is over. I do not get to produce milk and you do not get to buy milk here, but I'll get a penalty token, and the penalty token is still in front of me at the end of the game. I have a penalty, as you can see there, of -5. However, since that is a back order and now I'm working particularly hard to make up for my failure to produce milk early in the game, now for each token, for each back order token that you have, you also get to roll one of these dice, one of the red dice. So you may be able to produce more in the following turns. However, if all back order tokens are assigned, then the player or players with the most have to return the highest value token or tokens in their collection. And so that's bad. And you shuffle those and you add them back to the original deck of tokens available for purchase. And also, when that occurs, all of the back order tokens return to the pool. So it's good to have this extra die, but if you have too many of those, then of course a negative effect. So you have a little bit of a nice balancing element there. And this is how the game works. You roll and reroll dice, trying to produce sets of 10 points. You use those to claim milk. You also produce freeze tokens, or collect them, I should say. You use freeze tokens and the yellow die to flip things, so you get more points and or rerolls. And you continue like this until there aren't enough tiles here from the supply to refill this area of the available dice. And when that occurs, the game is over. You score points, which are based on the points on the tiles that are in front of you for milk and or from cheese. You deduct 5 points for each back order token that you still have, and at that point, the player with the highest total is the winner of the game. And this is Dairyman, a game about cheese for cheese lovers, but I guess it can be friendly to vegans too, because no actual consumption of cheese or milk is required. I don't know, maybe the theme makes you feel uncomfortable, but then maybe you play war games and also the idea of war and killing people makes you feel uncomfortable. What do I know? As for the game itself, Dairyman is a filler, definitely a filler, but it's a clever one, a surprisingly clever one. I wasn't all that sold when I read the rule book, and somehow, by the way, it took me longer to put all the rules in my mind than I expected. The game is so simple. But yet, at the beginning I thought, like, okay, I'll push my luck, I roll and re-roll, and that's it. It just felt it could be a little too dry and dull for me. It turns out that somehow, actually, it's very minimalistic design, but the elements go together well, and it turned out to be more fun and more interesting than I expected, because again, it's super minimalistic, it's super simple. To reroll or not to reroll, that is the question. But the idea that you can spend some resources and you can use some effects. Maybe you'll push just to get a freeze token, although maybe by doing so you won't be able to do anything else because the last reroll is not successful. But you get a freeze token, and making ice cream, especially early on, getting rerolls that you can use for the rest of the game can be very interesting. Using a die for certain effect or not, again, very interesting. It is just... all of these elements do not, say, elevate the game past the level of a simple, straightforward, very economic filler. But they do make it a good representative of its category. The game plays fast, does not overstay its welcome, roll, done, get a tile or two, activate an effect next player. Sure, there isn't much direct interaction between the players, so you are just seeing what other players are doing when it is their turn. But on the other hand, it is such a simple light game that it has a social aspect, and you can chat, then you can drink, then you can do other things like that. It is also a game that I have no idea why they say you need to be 14 and old to play it, because frankly it is a game that very little children can play, as long as they can count to 10. And so a kindergartner can definitely play this game. Rerolling, getting a freeze token, those are easy things. There isn't any conceptual difficulty there, and trust me, kids are gonna be excited to be making ice cream, to see ice cream as a theme of the game. So overall, very simple, very pleasant game. It is a filler, nothing more, nothing less, but definitely it is a filler that within that category, well, gets the job done, which is to be entertaining, easy to teach, easy to play, quick to play, has a nice pace, and also travels well, which again is good for a filler. If you're camping, if you're traveling, with your family especially, then I think carrying a copy of Dairyman with you could be a good option, because playing the game is fun and it's not hard to get into the game. It is a filler for sure, but a really good one.